Welcome, fellow dental laboratory owners. My name is Keith Crittenden. I am the president of America Smiles. I'd like to welcome all America Smiles members, America Smiles customers, and laboratories who may be just getting used to America Smiles at the first time. Many folks in the industry consider America Smiles an industry leader, and we do in fact run a dental laboratory association, so I feel it's appropriate that I comment on the coronavirus. I know I might be a little late to the game. We're deep into this. I tend to sit back and look at the landscape and not overreact. I like to know exactly what we're dealing with. And most of my actions are fairly subtle to begin with. What I'd like to accomplish tonight is I'd like to review with you 8 points that I think you could or should be doing during this time. Point number 1 that I'm going to make is to remain cool and optimistic. Point number 2 is that it's going to be an excellent time to catch up on your accounts receivable. Point number 3, be prepared for a cash flow problem after the virus situation goes away. Number 4, manage your monthly fixed expenses. I'll give you some tips on how to do that. I'm going to give you some tips on how to manage your layoffs if you have any employees that you need to lay off. I'm going to answer the question is, can you actually work? Are you banned from going to work? Or are you forced to shelter in place? I'll give you some opinions on that as well. Number 7, be prepared to market and advertise. I actually see that on the other side of this, it's going to be a great opportunity. And the last thing that I'll share is exactly some of the things that we're doing here at America Smiles, and maybe you can feed off of that. So back to point number 1, remain cool and optimistic. Remember this, not only is the entire country all in the same boat, all of our fellow dental laboratory owners are in the same boat as well. Being the head of a laboratory association, I field a lot of calls. Most people are doing just as I am, kind of sit back, like they say in sports, let the game come to you. And I've seen some people overreacting and very doom and gloom and very panicky. My own disposition is this. I'm not a prognosticator. I can't know. But I really do believe that this is going to blow over relatively soon. I do believe we'll get on the other side of this and possibly even be richer and better for it. So my general position is to remain very optimistic, but not foolish, not head in the sand. And I do have some contingency plans for worst case scenario. I've looked at the scenario. How long could I turn off the lights and still have a business to open up? You might want to look at situations like that. But keep in mind, there's no dramatic decision you're going to be able to make that's going to save your laboratory and your laboratory only. It's not like when this is all over, you're going to be the only lab in the country. So I think we're all going to have very similar experiences. We all have similar desires. We want to go back to our trade and be paid for our trade. So to summarize, number 1, I just remain calm and cool. Let the game come to you. Feel free to call us here at America Smiles. I enjoy speaking to fellow lab owners and giving advice as I see it. I'm not claiming to be the smartest guy on the planet, but when I do talk to a lot of lab owners, it gives me a distinct advantage as far as advising others. So number 2, and I guess just to reiterate, I see here, it's my guess that patients will be back in dental chairs mid to late April. That's just my guess. And that means that about another week after that, you'll start getting impressions, and life will start feeling pretty much back to normal, maybe as early as May 1st. Number 2, it's an excellent time to get caught up on your accounts receivables. Remember this, your dentists do have a revenue source. The crowns they cut back in February or even January, the benefits from the insurance companies are just rolling into their mailboxes now. So please don't fall for any dentists. I've already had labs calling me. Dentists are calling them, hey man, can I have some time to pay my lab bill? That answer should be no. There is not yet a cash flow problem. We're not seeing patients. Dentists are not seeing patients. We're not making teeth. But the cash flow problem isn't now. We're all enjoying a cash flow from previous work. So don't fall for your dentist doing any of this. As a matter of fact, I would recommend use it as an opportunity to call your doctor out. And of course, politely and respectfully, professionally, but tell them, say, look, I know you have revenue stream coming in. They're not generating new lab fees. They're not paying hygienists. They're not paying staff. There's no reason they can't use this opportunity. That guy that's always chronically 30 days or 60 days late, perfect time to get him caught up. And matter of fact, maybe even offer some incentives. I might touch on some incentives you can do here later. So that's the main point. Doctors still have a cash flow. They're still answering their phones. Use as an opportunity to get old guys caught up and back where they should have always been to begin with. Number 3, speaking of cash flow, be prepared for a cash flow problem once the virus situation goes away. So you're obviously going to be paying some bills throughout the month of April. Now you might have to get some employees to come back. You're going to have rents due, and you're going to have bills due, but you didn't generate much, if any, revenue in the month of March. So realistically, be prepared for a cash flow problem possibly during the month of May. So I will definitely give you a tip on that. I'm going to make that recommendation towards the end. It's a program that we're doing, and I'm going to ask you to imitate that. And actually, I take that back. My notes, now this is not overly rehearsed. My notes says I should talk to you about this right now. So let's do that. When doctors start coming back to work, you might want to offer a program and call it your coronavirus recovery program. You might want to offer your doctors 10% off of all of their work if they'll cash out that day. Have them give you a credit card. We're actually already implemented this at America Smiles. We're doing this now. We're offering great prices now, but labs have to cash out every day with us. So we're running our milling center at cost. And again, for some of you who don't know all of America Smiles, we're actually a 3-pronged business. We have a milling center. We sell zirconia to our members, and we also have a marketing group where we help laboratories grow their business. So we are 3-pronged for those of us who don't understand us. But on our milling center side, we're offering great prices right now, not to turn this into a commercial, but to show you what we're doing to help protect our own cash flow. Is to get that price, you've got to cash out daily. So I don't want to carry a laboratory in these bad times for 30 days, and then in May, in June, trying to collect the money that we're, for the cases we're doing right now. So you can do the same thing with your doctors. During the month of May, offer maybe 10% off of every case that they do on the condition that they'll cash out. Yes, it's going to cost you 10% if that's your discount. Yes, it'll cost you 3% on the credit card. But again, anticipate a cash flow problem in May. Get busy with the plan to help that. I like this one. There may be other ideas better than mine. Alrighty, number 4, manage your monthly fixed expenses. We here at America Smiles, our milling center has a lot of equipment. Our zirconia manufacturing plant has a lot of equipment. Most of this equipment is still under lease. We have a very, very, very expensive monthly lease liability. I've already started calling companies that I have leases with and asking for deferment. What deferment means, I'll just tell you plain. I called them up and I says, I can probably pay you for the next 3 months, these monthly lease payments, but after 3 months, you might have to come get the equipment. Now, if you give me a 3-month deferment, I can probably satisfy the entire lease agreement. I'll be able to take it all the way to the end. So point is, let's say I've got a piece of equipment or you have a piece of equipment, you've got 10 more payments on, ask for a 1, 2, or 3 month deferment. That means you, instead of paying it off in 10 months, you'll now pay it off in 13 months, but you correct that cash flow problem that we know is coming. You can do this with your landlord. We already contacted our landlord where our milling center is at. Landlord has already given us permission to defer at least our April 1st rent that's due, or our lease payment that's due on our property. So you can probably do this with car payments, home mortgages, and any other bill that you have that's a monthly bill. Call these companies up, ask them for a deferment. Just say, can I have a month off or 2 months off or 3 months off, and extend that. Companies are familiar with this question, and this, again, will help you out with this looming cash flow problem that we know is coming. Number 5, managing layoffs. We here at America Smiles, we've got 26 employees. Unfortunately, it was a sad day. We did let our first 3 employees go. Maybe help them out with finding out what the state regulations are, or whether or not this is going to come under the federal purview. As of the taping of this, the Senate is supposedly voting to pass a bill, so we still don't know the outcome of that. But it looks like there's going to be a lot of liberties available. But know the laws, know what options are available. I've heard that you can borrow money, keep your employees here, and if you could prove you paid salaries, you don't owe that money back. So that's one thing that I heard. Basically, if you borrow $50,000 but can prove you paid employees $50,000 during this time, you actually don't have to pay that $50,000 back. They're adjusting rules allowing full-timers to go part-time, and then the government's making up the difference with an unemployment benefit to cover the part-time. The 3 that we laid off today actually don't get laid off till Monday, but I gave them notices today so they can initiate this. So do what you can to help your employees. Obviously, all of us would like to have a business still available when this thing turns around, that we can invite our employees back to us. Number 6, I like this one. Can you work or not work? I'm a super big constitutionalist. It's fact of the matter. The Constitution is the law of the land. So anytime somebody tells me I can or can't do something, I usually hold it in a little bit of suspicion. Fact of the matter is, if you're in a state where the governor has said shelter in place, there was most likely an executive order written. Read that executive order. I read the one from Illinois, and it has provisions in there that if you're a distributor, a manufacturer, part of a supply chain, critical products within technology or medical, then you're exempt. I printed that executive order. I presented it to my landlord. I presented it to the mayor of the town, to one of the police officers. I says, we've looked at the executive order. We believe that we have the privilege to come into work. I made copies for my employees, so with confidence they can come to work. But just do check, and then give this information to your dentist. We want to all play our part. If this virus thing's as real and as bad as they all say it is, and it may very well may be, and if social distancing is the best thing, we all want to play our part, but at the same time, too, we don't want to jump to conclusions and sit at home generating no revenue if that's not the right and best thing to do. So here at America Smiles, we've chosen to stay open. Our production at our milling center is down to 50%. Our zirconia sales are down. We've postponed all marketing on behalf of our members. We don't feel like it's a good idea to do marketing right now. So we're taking steps, but we want to keep people working the best that we can, and we suggest that you ask yourselves those same questions. Can you be going to work? Tell your doctors, answer their phone. Some emergency cases, if they've got to go in for an emergency case, that case may become a crown. So there is revenue to be generated during this time. I know some labs have just flat closed the doors, not even going in. Myself, I think that's too much of an exaggerated move. My opinion would be talk to your doctors, encourage them to see emergency patients if they feel comfortable with that, and do whatever cases come in, go pick them up, and if one case comes in, do that case. Alrighty, let's see, I'm going to read a little bit more of my notes here. Again, it's a little bit off the cuff, and it looks like I covered everything that I wanted to say here. So number 7 is be prepared to market and advertise. Obviously, the America Smiles Membership Association is a marketing group, and so we're all about marketing. It runs through my veins. I think it's critically important. Really, I like to say the only difference between Jim Glidewell and your laboratory is marketing and advertising. And that doesn't mean that everyone who markets is going to become Jim Glidewell. We know that's not true. But the average laboratory doesn't market and advertise. It's going to be a great time to do so. Even, and I may sound selfish here to say prepare now. Of course, I run a marketing group, so I should say that. But realistically, it makes sense. Start preparing now. Call America Smiles. See what we can do to start to implement a marketing campaign. When this is all over, we know that there's not going to be a lot of, we know that not all labs are going to survive. Some laboratories, some guys may have been on the fence saying, I think I want to go do something else for a career. Some guys may have been thinking about retiring. So this event may accelerate decisions that have been on the fence. I think it's safe to say not every laboratory that existed in February of this year is going to exist in May of this year. And so, and the other thing is here too, now I've talked to other laboratory owners that have laid off 180 employees already. I've heard rumors of other large laboratories, we all know their names, have laid off hundreds of technicians. Not every technician is going to come back into the industry. What I'm really seriously expecting and anticipating is a supply and demand problem. Keep in mind, during this coronavirus emergency that we're experiencing, Patients are still chipping teeth. They're still cracking teeth. They're still getting toothaches. They're biting into something and discovering that they've got bad decay. So the dental problems are still showing up. They're just not being treated. Now, guess what? In May, new dental problems are going to show up, and they need to be treated. I think the demand for dentistry is going to double in May and June. And guess what? If you have a double demand and you've got labs that don't reopen or technicians that don't re-enter the market, we're going to have a supply and demand problem. Go back to your, I'm going to be a little sarcastic, go back to your high school days and study supply and demand. If the demand is higher than the supply being your time and your talent. I try to teach labs, you don't sell teeth, you sell time and talent. The demand for your time and talent is going, the demand should exceed your time and talent that you have available. That should shoot prices up. We may see a golden era where prices for a change go up in the dental industry just based on supply and demand. And not only this, not all restaurants are going to reopen. And you're going to ask, well, why do I make a point about restaurants? If restaurants don't reopen, that means there's going to be a lot of servers, a lot of good quality people out there that may not go back into the restaurant business. They may be good candidates to come in and change to train to run your CNC machine, or train to work in your model department, or train to do your scanning. So I would remain optimistic. I think there's really, if we remain calm and just adopt a vision, I think there's really great opportunities here in the near future. Although what we're doing, let's not say that this isn't kind of ugly what we're going through right now. I'm not a happy guy about this. I wish life was normal, but it's not, and we can't do anything about it. So in any event, lastly, I'm going to tell you what we're doing here at America Smiles. I try to be a professional, look at the camera. I might have to look down at my notes. Number one is we're doing what I told you to do. I'm remaining very optimistic. Fear is never going to change anything. Worry is never going to change anything. All I'm really doing is just trying to observe, look at the landscape, and just have plans and maybe subtle adjustments. You definitely don't want to overreact here. And we are preparing for a worst case scenario. And whatever that is up to our imagination. Worst case scenario, I just don't own this business anymore. And what are you going to do? Worrying about it's not going to make a difference. But I don't think that's going to be the case. We're assisting our employees to try to get the best information that they can about unemployment and benefits and how all that works. We've implemented our own coronavirus relief program. I don't mean to turn this into a commercial, but at our milling center, we're offering crowns for $22 a unit. There's only two conditions. You got to be a customer in good standing. That means you can't have any past due debt with us. And you got to close your balance out every day on a credit card. The reason why we're doing this is, number one, we know that you have a cash flow problem. We want to get your crowns to you as close to cost as possible. This is about as bare minimum our cost as I was able to come up with and still keep the doors open. And then selfishly, we're helping our own cash flow problem out. If you're going to cash out with us every single day, that means I don't have to anticipate that cash flow problem or I don't have to experience that cash flow problem that I'm anticipating. So really, I've been criticized. We sent some email blasts. Some people criticize, I'm being an opportunist. Yeah, I am being an opportunist, and I'm not going to apologize for it. If I can help you and help us, if we get new customers out of it, some labs in Nevada or Kansas start sending us work, I'm going to keep my employees working. So why not do what I can to keep the employees working, offer struggling labs a discount, and improve our cash flow at one time? It seems ridiculous to call me an opportunist for doing that. I guess I am, but three parties benefit. So we're doing that with the milling center. We've also decided to drop our Genesis zirconia disc prices. I think we've shaved off, but they're pretty thin already, but we manufacture our own zirconia here in Illinois. I know we're dropping them at least $10 a disc. And again, same thing, if we can help get the Genesis brand out there, move more product, and help laboratories that are looking for ways to save money, why not do it? I think it's a good opportunity for us to expand our footprint on the Genesis disc and save the members, save labs money as well. So, all these prices, these discounts we're doing, we're going to try to keep them around 2 to 4 months. If it's working and we're still making money, we might just keep it permanent. I'm not 100% sure. I like to say we'll jump off that bridge when we get to it. So I want to thank you for your time. I don't consider myself any type of a special expert. Many people out in the industry do. So I just took the best opportunity that I could to share my thoughts, my feelings. Love talking to my fellow lab owners. Anybody wants to give me a call for any private consulting or any private advice, our number here at the lab is 708-746-5730. And I want to thank you for your time. I wish you all the best. If you're a praying person, a Christian, or a believer, getting on your knees before God is not a bad idea either. I do it on a daily basis. Thank you for your time.